well, I got to shout out DoseOfDion, man, because it was actually the first time I went live on YouTube. And, you know, guys don't know DoseOfDion. He put out a lot of good content for the Detroit Lions.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, as you guys can see, we're back for another Lions mock offseason. Don't you guys love the graphic? Look at that. Come on, man. That took me a while to do. So y'all should just... Hey, I don't ask for likes, but I'm just saying, like, that might deserve a like right there. You see how it says mock offseason in white letters, but there's kind of like a blue trim? Okay, I'm sorry. As you guys can see, we're doing this a little bit differently this time. I'm on my computer. I'm going to try this because I'm going to try to do it a little bit quicker. And I think I have a nice little setup going here, okay? It's kind of like we're in school. Like, all right, everybody, mute yourselves. We're on a Zoom call. Sorry, this is weird. So we're doing another Lions mock offseason. Same thing as last time. Signings, cuts, draft, trades, all of that, and we're going to look at the final roster at the end. I think this is a pretty good one, but my goal was to be a little bit different, and as you guys read from the title, okay, we got a challenge today. We're doing a challenge. You know what the challenge is? The challenge is no Romeo and no Golladay. No. Now, you could look at that as a challenge, or you could just say, okay, that's just a different way to do it. I don't know. I'm going to call it a challenge because I want to sound cool. So, we're doing a challenge, no Romeo, no Kenny Golladay. Now, unfortunately, we don't know how well this team would do. I don't know, but I thought we'd have some fun with it, do another mock off season. Let me know what you guys think of this mock off season, and let's just dive right into it. We're first going to start off with the cuts, and I'll explain. Oh my gosh, I have a blue little dot. Oh, that's so cool. Look at this. I can point stuff like mock. Sorry. All right, so let's get into these cuts that we made. So a lot of these are the same, you know, a lot of the same cuts. We had to make a lot of cuts, okay, because we had to save some money. But we're not bringing back Romeo or Kenny Golladay, so we do have some money from that. But here are the cuts we made. We got Desmond Trufant first, $6.2 million. This is kind of a no-brainer. I think a lot of people expect him to get cut. He's got 1 year left on his deal. He's not the youngest guy in the world. He's coming off an injury. He didn't play that well. Save me $6.2 million? Okay, yes, sir. Justin Coleman, I know I did the June first cut. I know I did. I'm sorry. You're probably like, oh, come on, you did it. I'm sorry, but it saves me $9 million, and it's only one June first cut. I didn't even do two. I just do one. I could have done two, but it's $2 million for the next 3 years. I know it spreads out the dead, but still, man, he saves me some good money for the season. Jesse James, $2.1 million. See, I could have done another one on him, but I didn't. Oh, sorry, my phone. But you know, I decided not to, so I saved $2.1 million with Jesse James. Not too worried about the tight end position because honestly, I don't think it's going to be super used and super involved in Anthony Lynn's offense. Also, I like some of the young pieces that we do have, and we'll see that when we get to the roster at the end of the video. Nick Williams, $4.6 million. Again, kind of a no-brainer here. I think if there's like two obvious ones, you know, it's probably Nick Williams and Desmond Trufant. Now, you could keep Nick for depth, but I would cut Nick Williams because it saves me $4.6 million. There's like no dead cap whatsoever. He's over 30 years old, and yeah, he's only got 1 year left on his deal. So boom, Christian Jones, $2.5 million there. I mean, I feel like, you know, he's been reliable in terms of being on the field, but again, saving some money and maybe get some young guys an opportunity like an Austin Bryant, you know, maybe to play that role, maybe to take his role. Chase Daniel, $2.3 million there. I cut the backup quarterback. You could keep him, but I'm going with young guys, so I cut Chase Daniel. Danny Shelton, $4 million. I hate to do it because Danny Shelton actually played well for how bad the defense was. Shelton, he deserves to play somewhere and probably start somewhere that needs a nose tackle. So hopefully he finds a spot. I just know that we have some young guys, you know, that are going to get opportunity. So I had to cut him. But, you know, I can see keeping him, especially if you know you're going to stay with a nose tackle. Now, I'm going to move this a little bit because actually I do have like too big of a screen. So let's take a look at some of these other ones. We got Matthew Wright, $780K. Nick Bawden, the fullback. Matthew Wright's the kicker we signed to a future contract. Nick Bawden is the fullback that we cut, and we're going to sign a fullback. Hunter Thedford, the tight end from Utah, futures contract. Tom Kennedy, the former lacrosse player and wide receiver. He's been here a few times, but I cut him as well. Robert McCray, the defensive end out of Indiana, futures contract. Jalen Elliott, UDFA from last season out of Notre Dame, the safety. We have, who else? Oh, John Adkins, the defensive tackle. He has been cut as well. Igwabuke, BK, I don't know way, but that's the safe day. Sorry, $780K for the futures contract there. Joel Heath, who is also on a futures contract out of MSU, the defensive end. Russell Bodine, these are all cuts by the way. Russell Bodine, $850K, the center, and Evan Brown, who played actually a little bit for the Lions last season. So props to Evan Brown, but I did cut Evan Brown. I could have kept him, but I decided to cut him because it saved me almost $1 million. Also, Sean Dion Hamilton. You could put an asterisk next to his name as well because you'll see when we get to the roster that maybe he's not actually cut. It really just depends on one of our signings, but we'll see. Also, Victor Bolden, same kind of thing as well. We'll see that in the roster. And I also threw in Bobby Price, saving $780K. So that kind of stinks. I hate that I had to get rid of Bobby Price, but I went a different route. I went a different route this time with the safety position. Y'all will see it when we get there. But you could keep Bobby Price. I mean, when you see the roster, you'll be like, oh, I could have kept Bobby Price. You could have if you wanted to. If you're able to keep Bobby Price, go for it. I cut Bobby Price just to get a different name on here. Simply that's the reason, you know. But if you want to keep Bobby Price, go for it. I have no issues with that whatsoever. There's a reason I kept him last time, because I'm fine with keeping him on the roster and not going the direction I did. I just wanted to get different players so you guys could, you know, hear about different people. So yeah, if my math is correct, which is probably not, 30.5K in cap space to sign for free agency. Now we got a lot of things we got to accomplish, but it's not a bad you know, chunk of change, I would say. But that's a lot of cuts. So let's get into it. Let's get into the free agent signings. So the first one we have is Nickel Roby Coleman. Now if I spelled anybody's name wrong, I apologize. My English isn't the best. But Nickel Roby Coleman is a Detroit Lion. Now, last time I signed Troy Hill, who was coming from the Rams as well, kind of a slot/outside cornerback. Nickel Roby Coleman was not with the Rams last season. He was with the Philadelphia Eagles at 5'8", 180 pounds. I felt like, okay, again, we cut Justin Coleman. It'd be nice to have a slot option for right away, where I'm not necessarily relying upon a rookie. If a rookie can take that spot, great, but I'm not relying upon a rookie to take over that role. So that's what I did last time with Troy Hill, and that's the same thing I'm doing here with Roby Coleman. Now, he is 29 years old, so he's, you know, not the youngest cornerback. He's not really a long-term option. But his best seasons came with the LA Rams, which means he has ties with Aubrey Pleasant, who is now our secondary coach. So I think it's just one of those players that, honestly, for 2 years, $2 million per season, I think it's a really good deal. I mean, we've paid a lot more for Troy Hill, like $5 million. Again, I used PFF or wherever I could find projections. He was projected to get only $2 million per season, and I was like, dude, okay. And I think a lot of that has to do because he's not coming off a great statistical season with the Philadelphia Eagles. But, like I said, his best came with Aubrey Pleasant. So if I can get him a little bit cheaper because of that, I'm down for it. He fills that slot role initially, and, you know, you don't need him for the future. I just need him for right now. But, yeah, with the Rams, put up some really nice numbers with the Rams. He does have some missed tackle issues, but he can pass rush. He may be limited to just a slot role a little bit, unlike Troy Hill, but that is the first free agent that we signed with some ties. You're going to notice there's a theme here. A lot of these guys have ties. Next up, Alex Anzalone. Yeah, so we went with another tie here. He kind of looking at me kind of weird. At 6'3", 241 pounds, I got the outside linebacker from New Orleans. Now, he's only 26 years old. Now, I only did sign him to a 2-year, $2.5 million per year. Okay, so let me go back. It's $2 million per year. So it's not $2 million in total. So it's 2 each year. So it's 4 in total. And for Anzalone, it's 5 in total. Well, no, it's not 5. That's bad math. That would be 2.5. Yeah, that is 5. What am I talking about? Sorry, it's late. So $2.5 million per season for the Detroit Lions. Now, he's been very limited in a weird way, because usually you think, okay, when linebackers are limited, they're just really good run defenders, but they don't give you much as a pass coverage guy, so there's usually no value there. It's actually the opposite with Alex Anzalone, which is really strange. He's been a really good pass coverage linebacker, but run defense hasn't been a strong suit. It's meant that he's been limited to not being a 3-down linebacker for the New Orleans Saints. But I look at the Lions situation, I say, we could use a pass coverage linebacker, even if that's only really his role right now. Now, he will rejoin with Aaron Glenn in this defense with this signing, so he does have connections with our defensive coordinator. But again, our pass coverage linebackers aren't that great. Also, I like the fact that he can play both inside and outside. He should be a scheme fit right away, and he should know exactly what's asked of Aaron Glenn, so there should be no issues there. Again, I love his age. In 2019 and 2018, he put up some really good stats. He did have a little bit of an injury that he came off of, where he had a shoulder injury a couple years ago. But for the most part, man, I really like this signing. I think this is a really nice move because it was so cheap. I mean, that's what I love about it the most, is how cheap this move was. His run defense, though, like I said, it's been struggling. It just hasn't had a huge impact as a run defender, which is weird because he doesn't have a lot of missed tackles. I mean, there was one season, I think 3 years ago, where he had like 50-some tackles and only like 5 missed. Doesn't have a lot of missed tackles, just not super impactful in the run game. But he's still young. He could still be developed into something. He gives us a 2-year deal. I could have signed this for a longer-term deal, and I would have been fine with that. But I went for 2 years. Where are we 2 years from now? If you like him, you can try to re-sign him, try to bring him back. Maybe give him a bigger deal up front, but I went with 2 years, $2.5 million. So Alex Anzalone, welcome to Detroit, and welcome to this linebacker group that needs a lot of work. Now, this next free agent signing is another, well, actually, he has ties technically, but not really. His ties come with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Our defensive line coach came from Jacksonville. Does that count? Probably not. Okay, this is Leonard Fournette. Now, I'm not the biggest Leonard Fournette guy, to be honest with you, but since the challenge is no Romeo, no Kenny, I didn't know what the best chance was for me to get a running back in the draft that I really like to pair with DeAndre Swift. So I consider free agency, try to mix it up. My goal is to mix it up, give you guys different names. I didn't want to go with the same exact people, so I try to mix up the draft as well, you'll see. But I went with Leonard Fournette this time. He's coming off a really good playoff, really nice playoff run with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which is probably going to make him some money. So you can see I signed him to a 2-year, $4 million per year deal. Now, it's projected he's getting somewhere around that. I just don't know what the exact number it's going to be. I mean, I could have really overshot with this one. Maybe I undershot. I'm not sure, so I just kind of went like, okay, $4 million a year. That sounds about right. I mean, he's still very young at 26 years old. He signed basically to a prove-it deal with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He only averaged 3.8 yards per carry. But, again, he had a nice playoff run. He was a big part of that team. And what I like about him most is he gives us something different. All right, he's a power back, right? He's a power back to complement DeAndre Swift, and that's what I like the most. But, again, he's still a young running back. But one thing you will notice that with Jacksonville, even though maybe he didn't have the best numbers, he really didn't have the best offensive line either. If you look at his yards before contact, it's really low. It's under 2 yards usually every single time. So he wasn't getting that far before getting hit. Now, some of that has to do with maybe his explosiveness. But again, he wasn't behind the best offensive line. I think the Lions need a running back. I think Leonard Fournette, maybe he excited the Detroit Lions is what he did with the playoffs. Again, he has ties. As you can see in 2018, 3 yards after contact, which is pretty nice. Also, I didn't realize how big of a receiving threat he is. He's got really nice numbers receiving threat. But again, it's just something a little bit different. Just mixing it up, pairing someone else with DeAndre Swift, and gives us a number 2 running back that potentially could be someone that the Lions keep around for a little while. But again, he's still young. So it's not like I went out and signed a 38-year-old running back. I went with Leonard Fournette. So, yeah. All right, let's move on. The next one we have is Trey Boston. Now, last time I went with Malik Hooker. I considered doing the exact same thing, but again, I wanted to give you guys a different name, so this time I went with Trey Boston. 2 years, $2.5 million per season, so $5 million in total. This is about what he's projected to get, which is absolutely just ridiculous to me. I mean, this would be like the steal of the year for the Detroit Lions if they sign this guy to this deal. I'm telling you. The only thing that isn't perfect about this deal is that he's 28 years old. So he's probably not a core piece, which is why I only gave him a 2-year deal. But for the next 2 seasons, the Detroit Lions need that free safety. They need that other guy that can play split safety with a guy like Tracy Walker. And Trey Boston fills that role so well. I mean, he fits perfectly, I feel like, what the Lions are going to try to do defensively. Aaron Glenn would love to have this guy. And look, he's coming off a rough season, but they completely changed his role, man. They changed his role so much, and that's why they released him just after giving him a big contract. So they just extended this guy and released him. Why? It's because the new defensive coordinator came in Carolina, and he tried to put him in a different spot, tried to play him in the box, and he wasn't comfortable, and he didn't play that well, and they decided to release him. Makes sense for them, but for us, it's an opportunity to get a guy that may not have the most value that would fit, in my opinion, perfectly, and he's an absolute ball hawk, which the Lions don't have in the back end. So that is why I went with the safety out of Carolina. Now, again, it is only a 2-year deal because he is 28 years old, so he's not a huge future option, which means the Lions are going to have to, figure out what they're going to do at safety for the future. But for now, and heck, you know what, after 2 years, I mean, he's a safety. You could play a little bit over 30, so you could bring him back again if you wanted to. But I feel like for the price, this is a beautiful fit. Also, he does have ties as well with Anthony Lynn. He was with the Chargers, I think, for 1 season. And in that season, he had his best 5 interceptions. So, yeah. All right, so let's quickly fly through all the signings that we made in total here. This is including former Lions as well. We have Don Muhlbach. Last time I forgot the long snapper. That would have been an L if we don't have a long snapper. I got one this time. Maybe we should draft one. Nope. That was a joke. I'm sorry, Bob Quinn. So, Don Muhlbach to a 1-year, $1.1 million. I'm not sure how I did that contract, but most of these, like I said, are on. I think it was on a projection. I'm not sure, though. Maybe it was on a past contract. Darrell Roberts, I signed him for depth, $1.9 million. I may have overshot a little bit there, but I think that's kind of around what he signed the first time with the Detroit Lions. He's not the oldest guy, but I thought it wouldn't be a bad thing to have a guy that was here before, who I know could play slot, play outside. And I think he's a really nice competitor. I don't think his ceiling's super high. I don't think his athletic ceiling's super high, and I don't think he's going to be a starter for us. But I know he's reliable, and it really is just filling out depth with that signing. It could be someone else. I just went with Darrell Roberts because I know him, and I like him as a competitor. I like him as a tackler. Jason Kabinda to a 2-year deal. That's right, 2 years for my man Kabinda. He's going to be our fullback to replace Nick Bawden, as I thought he did pretty well last season. Nickell Roby-Coleman, and I know we're going to run the ball a lot, so we need one. Nickell Roby-Coleman, the corner, we talked about him. Alex Anzalone, Leonard Fournette. Matt Prater. Prater is back again. Matty P. Nope, y'all don't like that? Okay, we'll call him a difference. We'll call him something else. 1-year, $1.5 million deals for Matty P. Matt Prater. This could definitely means that in the future we're going to have to figure out the kicker spot, but for now, hey, we got Matt Prater coming back, so that's all good. I know he's going to want to be back, so unfortunately we didn't do a long-term deal for him, but because of his age. However, he is brought back for at least another year. Then I have Trey Boston and Michael Ford. Again, another depth guy. You'll see it. We need cornerback depth. So those 2 signings are simply just to fill out depth. They could be someone else. I just know them. At the bottom it says Jared Davis linebacker. I'm counting Jared Davis as a signing. I just don't know what his price is going to be. I have no idea. People have no idea what his projection is going to look like. I don't know if anything's going to be interested. If not, great. We get him really cheap. If they are, and it's pushing $5 million, well, then Sean Dion Hamilton, who I cut, or Anthony Pittman would be back on the roster because I ain't giving $5 million. But if it's cheaper than that, I feel like Dan Campbell wants to bring him back. And now it says Agnew question mark. I don't know what Agnew's value is either. So technically I didn't cut Bolden, but if I could get Agnew back, it's not super expensive. I would rather cut Bolden to keep Agnew. So I thought I would explain that. But yeah, those are the free agents. And now let's get to the draft. Let's just get to it. Okay, so I traded back. I traded back with the New England Patriots. I probably should have told y'all. I traded back. I don't remember the exact trade details. Oh yeah, I do. So they got pick number 7. We got pick number 15. And get this, I think we also got a late round pick. A 2022 first round pick. Get out of here. Get out of here. 3 first-round picks next season? Come on, man. How could I pass that up? I know we don't get to do it in the thing, but come on, man. I mean, that's future right there, all right? You want future, you got it. So I went with Kwity Paye. As the challenge suggested, okay, no Romeo Okwara, so I had to fill that position out. And I thought this was like the perfect opportunity. I was like, okay, Paye can fall to 15. I don't need to reach on someone I don't love. I can get a guy that I really like, but also get a pick in return, and that was the first-round pick next season. I got Kwity Paye, and I like me some Kwity Paye. I have him as my number 1 edge in this draft at 6'4", 272, the defensive end out of Michigan. Now, he comes with a lot of power, pretty darn versatile. You've seen him kind of line up everywhere, but for he looks, I don't know, how do I explain it? He's really strong, but he looks kind of small. He looks like a compact build. He looks like a Roblox player. That doesn't make any sense. But he's very, very athletic. This guy is freaky athletic. Hey, I say that because he was on the freaks list. I mean, he's super athletic, and that helps him play pretty much everywhere defensively. But it also, you know, because of his strength, it allows him to hold up in the run game, but also be super explosive in getting back to the passer. And because he's so athletic, he can, you know, line up on the defensive line, put his hand in the dirt, he can take it out of the dirt. You know, you can kind of move him around, play with him, you put him in the inside. Even though as an interior pass rusher wasn't super effective, you can move him a little bit all around. I love the fact that he uses a lot of power moves. He's a very strong player, and he uses that to his advantage. And when he uses that, he sets up a push-pull move, which he kind of does as his counterattack. There is more that he can add to that. I think there's a lot more that he can add. I think there's, because of his athleticism and strength, the combination there's a lot of pass rushing abilities that he can add that he hasn't really tapped into yet, which makes me excited, because even though, you know, he's a first round pick, there's still room to grow here, of course, but I feel like this is a really good solution, and I think he has a great day one impact. I think he has a way better day one impact than a guy like Gregory Rousseau. That guy's going to take a while to develop. I know he's got the size and everything. He's going to take a while to develop. Kwity Paye, on the other hand, I think he steps in day one. He gives you an impact as a run defender and as a pass rusher, and he has good size. He has really good size that has played different spots. But he doesn't drop into coverage, but I don't need him to. So I got Kwity Paye at 15. It was us to 41, and I got ZAVEN Collins. Okay, I didn't think this time I was getting ZAVEN. I was like, I'm not going to get ZAVEN. I was just prepared not to. And somehow the guy fell. How could I not take ZAVEN if he fell? I mean, seriously. Like, what was I supposed to do? I'm like, I got to take him. It's ZAVEN Collins. I mean, what else am I supposed to do? So at 6'4", 260, you guys know the linebacker out of Tulsa. I got ZAVEN in the second round. Somehow this dude fell. I wasn't prepared to take him. I had other options. You know, I would have went other ways. I had a plan. But somehow he fell. And I was like, well, sometimes you just got to take the best talent available. And when you're kind of retooling or rebuilding, whatever you want to call what we're doing, it's not a bad thing to take the best talent available, because we can use a lot of help. And our linebacker group, I know I signed Alex Anzalone, but we still need more work. So I went with ZAVEN Collins, who's great in zone coverage. He actually had the highest zone coverage grade since 2014 for college players, which is really incredible. Great size, really good size. I mean, you don't see linebackers in this class with that size that can also do what he can do. All right, you know, he's not very limited. He can do everything. I know he's not super athletic. The high ceiling there for athleticism, for quicks, for twitch, he doesn't really have that. He's also doesn't have the best top speed, but he's 260 pounds. I mean, if you want a Wusu Koromora, yeah, he's going to be fast. He's also 215 pounds. He weighs as much as my safety does. This guy is a big dude that's coming off a defensive player of the year, coming off ridiculous impact in coverage and against the run. I know he's not the most dominant tackler. I know he doesn't play as aggressive as you want. We talk about this guy a lot, but man, I just felt like I had to take him because he was there. So ZAVEN Collins is a Lion. That moves us on to pick number 72, which is Elijah Moore, the receiver out of Ole Miss. Okay, I know I took Elijah again. I'm sorry. I tried to mix it up, but he was there, and I'm like, dude, mock draft simulator, what's wrong with y'all? Are you serious? I took Elijah Moore, 5'9", 184 out of Ole Miss. How could I pass up on Elijah Moore, man? The guy has super reliable hands. He can play the slot for me because I didn't bring Danny Amendola back. He's just a really good pass catcher that finishes the process. One of the better hands in the league. Also, we know he's just a big deep play threat. He really is. I mean, I don't think he has the best twitch. One thing I noticed about him when he catches it, he's kind of slow to get into, how would I say, break off and like run after the catch. I don't know. Maybe it's just, I don't know. Maybe the game was just wet. Maybe the field was just wet when I was watching the game. I'm not sure. But he finishes. His yards after catch is really, really good. He's just a playmaker on the field. He doesn't have the most twitch, doesn't have the most speed, but he's got such reliable hands that I felt like, okay, I mean, you know, I can kind of take that. I can be okay with that because there are guys out there that are quicker. There are guys out there that are faster, but they don't have the hands that he does, and also catching traffic that he does. Okay, on Madden, his catching traffic is like 95 or something. So I took Elijah Moore. And that moves me on to pick number 90, where we have DWAYNE ESKRIDGE. And I'll go through the trades and how we got these picks. So DWAYNE ESKRIDGE is a Detroit line as well, so our second receiver. So I went back-to-back here. Yeah, I got two smaller receivers. So at 5'9", 190, I went the receiver out of Western Michigan, who is literally just an absolute burner. I mean, he is just so fast. My goodness. I don't see this guy falling out of day 2. I don't know if pick number 90 is round 3. I think that's round 3. I think it is. Yeah, pick number 90 should be round 3. But, man, he is so fast. Like, he's an absolute burner that Lions really don't have. Now, again, competition will be questions. Limited route tree will be questioned. My biggest question, personally, is not just that he has a few little drops here, because sometimes that happens. My biggest question, personally, is finishing in contact situations as a pass catcher. That's a big reason that I felt more comfortable taking him, is because I already had Elijah Moore, who I know can do that, but that is a big issue with his game. He's got all the potential in the world, so why not grab another MAC receiver that could be a stud like Kenny Golladay was? But look, he doesn't have the best size. He did play on the outside of Western Michigan, probably because of competition that he went against. I don't know if he'll be able to do that at the next level. But, I mean, for the most part, man, he's got a lot of things you like. His quarterback play wasn't that great. But at the Senior Bowl, I think he made his money. He showed out. He showed you what you can do. And he also showed you how many routes he could run. He was so tough for cornerbacks to keep up with. I mean, he can draw flags because he's just so quick, so elusive, and so twitchy. He just got to make sure that he finishes through the play. You didn't see a lot of contested opportunities, so I want to make sure that he finishes through the play. But that is ESKRIDGE. And, you know, 2-year retool, he's going to have some time to develop. Every position needs to develop, and DWAYNE ESKRIDGE is number 90 with a very high ceiling. That moves us to 112, and I went Shaun Wade. Now, I'm not the biggest Shaun Wade guy. You guys know that. 6'1", 195, the cornerback out of Ohio State, / safety. Some people are now listing him as safety because they think he'll be at the next level, which he could be. I'm not the biggest Shaun Wade guy, but I went this route because, as we know, we signed, who's that corner that we signed? I can't even think of his name now. Oh, we signed Nickell Robey-Coleman, which gives me the slot for now, but I need someone for the future. And I didn't have to reach because I could have said, well, next year I'll take one, you know. But since it's only a 1-year mock-off season, I decided to take one this year. Now, Shaun Wade gives me a corner that can also potentially bump to safety. That's why some people are listing him as safety, which the Lions could use a safety for the future, you know, because I do have Trey Boston right there now, but he could potentially take that role, maybe. You know, he has the size to do it. I think he also has the ball skills to do it, but it's definitely a big change. And also, hey, it pairs him up with Jeff Okudah, both Ohio State guys, so that'd be kind of cool. But biggest reason I took this is because he was better at the slot than outside. I'm really worried about what he'd do on the outside, so he may be slot limited. But I guess that's something that he can develop because he doesn't have to start right away. You know, he doesn't have to be my 4th corner. He can be my 5th, my 6th cornerback right now. He's a depth guy. Because think about it. I mean, I have Nickell Robey-Coleman, I have Amani, I have Okudah above him right now. I got 3 guys above him. And we also signed Darryl Roberts. So I have him above him. Well, you'll see what the rest we do. So I don't need to play him right now. He could potentially be a safety future. Maybe, maybe not. But I do like the fact that, well, one thing you got to admire, I guess, is that he went back to college, tried to prove himself as an outside corner. He just didn't prove it because he played really, really bad. He was out-muscled, out-physical. He got dominated, basically. There were some games where he was just dominated, and his draft stock fell like crazy, but he was pretty solid as a slot that went against some pretty consistent competition. I just think he needs a lot of development as an outside corner, but the good thing is I really believe in our coaching staff and that they could get him to that level. So, yeah, Shaun Wade. Maybe the future slot, maybe a safety. That moves me on to 145, and I got Marvin Wilson. Dude, I don't know how these guys are falling. I'm going to have to change the mock draft simulator. I'm going to use something different. I use PFN again, and I got Marvin Wilson at 145. Are you kidding me? Really nice pick for us because I wanted defensive tackle help. I did that last time. But I don't know what scheme the Lions are going to. I don't know. But I know he can play a little bit of both. I feel like he's got enough versatility. He's kind of a little bit of a tweener in size, where I feel like, okay, if I need a nose tackle, he might be able to put on a little more weight, be my nose tackle. And if I need him for a 4-3 as a DT, I can do that. He's played a lot of different spots on the defensive line at times. I mean, he doesn't play all the spots, the same amount, but he's played different spots at times, so I know there's versatility there. He's ridiculously strong, ridiculously powerful. He seems to have a very high ceiling. It's just consistency isn't always there. You don't see consistent production. He kind of just, it's kind of like he plateaued at one point, statistically. But his production's been solid. You can't deny that. He's got very developed moves, and he's just so powerful in the upper body. But he does need work. 2020, productive-wise, wasn't there. It just wasn't there. And I think that, again, made him fall. Kind of like Shaun Wade, where, he wanted to come back, prove himself. I'm a top, defense tackle, and it didn't happen. Unfortunately, that pushed his stock down. I don't know if it'll push it this far. He's also coming off a leg injury. He had a rough 2020. I noticed that, he can get tired, which is okay because I can sub him out. But I think there's a high enough ceiling here where there's enough power where I can rotate him in and out with Penasini if he's at that position, or in a defensive tackle position. I have other guys to move in and out, but just to give me some depth with a high ceiling as a pass rusher potentially. If we could tap into what he did in 18 and 19, I think this is a good value spot. This is a really good value spot for Marvin Wilson. So that moves me on to our second to last pick, which is 160. Yes, I took Sage Surratt again. I know. Look, he's like, hey, oh, you took me again. I'm sorry. I didn't want to take the same guy, but it's just one of those things where if he's there, how can I not take him? I don't know why this guy is being mocked here, but if he goes this late, someone literally got a complete steal. I'm serious. Just mark the word. Sage Surratt is a problem. 6'3", 215. He gives me the exact opposite of the other things I draft. Elijah Moore and Eskridge. Now I got Sage Surratt. He can be the outside physical threat. I didn't have that. So regardless of who I took here at receiver, it was going to be someone like that. And since Surratt was there, I was like, dude, how do I not take, like, I want to go different. I want to be different. But I can't be different because Sage Surratt's there. So he's super physical. He's the jump ball guy. You throw it up. He wins the one-on-one battles. He can stretch the field in that way. He's not going to excite you with explosiveness, his switch, his top-end speed, like maybe Nico has a little bit more of that, but he can make those plays in physical situations. So that's just the biggest difference. He's just an outside receiver that I don't really have because I have Elijah Moore and Eskridge. Eskridge might be able to play outside in certain sets. You know, same with Elijah Moore as well because Eskridge played outside, but with his size, I'm a little bit concerned. This guy gives me the size that he didn't have with those guys. Again, doesn't have the quicks, but my favorite thing about him, I said it last time, is that when he went down, Newman struggled, the offense really struggled. He was kind of the glue. I mean, he was the engine to that offense. And to me, that's impressive. So that is why I took him at 160. And that's our final pick now. At 188, we have CAMRYN BYNUM, the corner out of Cal. So yes, two corners here. Potential safety switch with Shaun Wade. And, you know, you can get a safety in the future. We'll talk about that. But I decided to go with CAMRYN BYNUM here. So this was an interesting one. I had Benjamin St. Juste in there, and I had CAMRYN BYNUM. And I said to myself, if I was in this position, I'd rather take Benjamin. I would. But I told you guys last time I like CAMRYN BYNUM as well. So I said, you know what? I'm going to be different. I'm going to take BYNUM. So at 6 foot, 200 pounds, this guy, really, I noticed him first off in the Senior Bowl. And he gives you good size because, and as you see, I said well-versed to play all spots. He's played all spots. He's dabbled at safety. He's dabbled in the box. He's dabbled at slot. He's dabbled outside. I mean, he's done it all. Not a lot of it all, but he's done it all. And his size tells you that, okay, 6 foot, 200. He's like right in the middle of, I can put you outside, I can put you in the slot, I can put you, you know, maybe you mold a little bit to that spot, but he can play anywhere. I mean, he's like a blank canvas that you can work with that has really good ball skills, really good at the point of attack, kind of like St. Juste is as well. He's a great run defender. Really good run defender, which I always like to see. And the one thing is, though, he hasn't played a lot of man, and he also hasn't done his best in man. He may take some time to develop there because I don't think he's the quickest. I don't think he's the most fluid. I don't think he's the best with, you know, I would say, how would I say this? Man-to-man, change of direction. But in zone, I mean, he's lock solid in zone. So you go to zone sets, you use him for those defenses, and you know, he's gonna be right in. He's played a lot of zone. He's gonna be well versed in different types of zones that you want to run out there. So I think he's gonna be intelligent in that manner, where he's gonna be a very smart player right away that the Lions could bring in that can play, again, like I said, the zone defense that the Lions could be looking for if they look to play that kind of defense or whenever they try to do. And I think he'll fit in right away, and you know, he won't look lost. He'll look ready to go. So he doesn't have the speed. I don't think he has that speed. Doesn't have necessarily the quicks. St. Juste really doesn't have that either. Maybe I think he is quicker. However, maybe some of that's because of his size than Benjamin. So I think he's a better shot to mold to something else. But I think he's just a really good player in zone. That's why I really like him. All right, so let's go through these UDFAs. Don't you guys love the graphics for this? I mean, this is beautiful. I mean, this is top-notch, high-quality H2O right here. I mean, look at this. We got the whole DoseOfDion logo. We got the whole black background going on, the arrows, the blue circle thingy. I think y'all can see that. Okay, I don't know. Let's go through the UDFA signing. So we brought in Ian Book, technically. I also listed Felipe Franks, so you guys can take your pick there. I kind of like Felipe better, but, you know, I wanted to mix it up, so I technically got Ian Book. But I still had to list Franks, because if you want Franks, you go with Franks. But both of those guys went undrafted, so we needed a quarterback. I have David Blau technically as his backup, but they'll compete for that position. Maybe one of them are the future. Maybe. Jake Burton, the right tackle out of UCLA. I thought this one made a lot of sense because Jake Burton has played over 20 games. He started over 20 games. He played the right tackle position, which is kind of what we're looking for. I couldn't get one in the draft, unfortunately, that I liked. But Jake Burton did go undrafted, and I had my eye on him. The fact is he went undrafted. So I was like, okay, that's even easier because I didn't want to reach because I don't think I had like a really late pick in the draft, and that's where I was going to use the tackle pick. So I got him as a UDFA because he went undrafted on a simulator. And what I like about him is that he's one of the most consistent players in the country. It's really different from a lot of UDFAs where he's thinking, oh, we're going off of flash. You know, he's got flash, but can he get consistent? That's not Burton. Burton, you may question his, top end, but you know that he was consistent in college, and there's still things that he can work on. He needs developing, right? But he's got really good size, over 6'6", 312 pounds. People believe he can bump to left tackle. He can kind of just do it all. And I thought for the Lions, well, that's actually not bad, because it sounds like someone that could be a backup right away. I mean, he could give us depth right away, so that'd be kind of cool. So that's the right tackle out of UCLA. He's played a lot of time. He was also a PFF honorable mention, so cool, for the Pac-12. And then we have Reed Blankenship here, the safety out of Middle Tennessee State. So you can see, unfortunately, I didn't get a safety, but since I signed Trey Boston, who's 28, I thought, okay, I'm going to have to be prepared for the safety. Not saying that he will, but he could at least try. He can play the split safety set. He can bump down into the box. He can play in a nickel position, line up as a corner. He's a playmaker. I love Middle Tennessee State. I love Middle Tennessee State on NCAA football, too. I just love their colors and everything, so I had to get him. But they're kind of forgotten about, I think, at times, and he's a playmaker. He's got like 8 picks in his career, so why not give him a shot, see if he can win the role? We cut the other safeties, so there you go, Reed Blankenship. I went with a different name here, but I think there's some upside. He's got the production to show for it, so let's see what we can do. And I got Puka Williams, running back out of Kansas. I don't know if he'll go undrafted or not. I mean, there's a lot of running backs, but who knows? But he's kind of a scat back. He's not like Leonard Fournette at all. He's like 170 pounds. He's a scat back. But, he can line him up at receiver. He can catch the football, and it just gives you a different dynamic, I guess, out of the backfield. So that's why I signed Puka. Plus, we need depth, honestly. All right, now that moves us to the roster. Let's go through this roster, man. So starting off with the quarterback, we have Goff, Blau, Felipe Frank / Book. Go with whichever one you want there. Whichever one you want. You guys have the choice. You're welcome. Sorry. Running back, and again, the numbers are listed next to it. Don't really get caught up too much in the numbers here, because these things can always change. You don't have to have Felipe Franks or Book on the active roster. You could just keep 2, and then you could have 1 on the practice squad. Running back, we have Swift, Fournette, Kerryon, Kabinda, and Puka. Puka's got an asterisk if you want 5 running backs. A lot of times you do, because, well, technically it's only 4 running backs plus a fullback. So a lot of times you want more depth than that, so that could be Puka. I love that name, Puka Williams. That's a beautiful name. However, if you just want to go with a 3, then you don't have to have Puka. But I really got him really for depth, and because he's a little bit different than the other running backs. TJ Hockenson, Hunter Bryant, Mack, we went to the same tight ends there as well, so we'll rock with those. I think there's other positions that you could be worse off at if you didn't have depth. Receiver, Elijah Moore, Eskridge, Surratt. This one's in really no order. I don't know who's going to win the roles here. You can see at the bottom, Victor Bolden versus Agnew. Again, if I could rather have Agnew, I'd rather have Agnew, but it depends on what the price is, so I split it, because if not, I can have Victor Bolden. Agnew could be my kick returner and punt returner, but if he's not back, I know that Eskridge can do it, and I know that Victor Bolden can do it. So, there you go. Offensive line. Only listed 8 here, but you could actually list Dan Skipper as well, because I don't think I technically cut him. I just forgot to put his name on here, because you could go with 9 if you wanted someone that's proven. I put Jake Burton here. As you can see, we have the same 5 last time. Decker, Jonah, Frank, Big V, Crosby. I have a feeling Big V starts the right guard, but who knows? Logan will compete. Maybe Crosby takes it. I'm not sure. I did keep Joe Dahl. I like his versatility. I know people have been cutting him because he saves you almost $3 million, but he can play center and guard. The guy played center last year when we needed one, when Frank was down. So Joe Dahl can do it all. Just as simple as that. And I don't want to cut that guy, so I kept him. And then Jake Burton, the tackle. He's reliable. He might actually be able to be a tackle on the roster, but if you're not super confident in him, you could go with a guy like Dan Skipper instead for a backup tackle on game day. Cornerback, then we have Okudah, Amani, Coleman, Shaun Wade, Daryl Roberts, CAMRYN, BYNUM, and Mike Ford. So, we got the depth in there with Daryl Roberts and Mike Ford. Again, not really in any particular order. I'm assuming the first 3 would be like I have it. Okudah outside, Amani, and Coleman in the slot. But then behind that, all up for grabs, right? Wade could be the backup slot if he wins the role. Daryl Roberts could be the backup slot if he beats him out for the role. CAMRYN, BYNUM could be, a lot of different things. Michael Ford, right? So there's a lot of potential to move this time. They're not as locked into a spot, so those guys are going to compete. Inside defense line, we have Pennicini and Marvin Wilson. Pennicini, hopefully, if he goes to 4-3, he can, try to fit into that better. I know he can fit the 3-4, of course, my nose tackle. Marvin's played all the spots on the D-line, which is a big reason I drafted him, so he could sub in and out with Pennicini, which is cool if we're in that. And I think he could actually bulk up to be a nose tackle, at least on passing downs. I think he gives you more as a pass rusher at the high ceiling than John Pennicini, because he really doesn't give you much at all. Then we have Deshaun Hand and Kevin Strong behind that. So if you go to a 4-3 or something like that, and there you go. Edge, we have Flowers, Kwity Paye, Jayshon Cornell, and Austin Bryant. Pretty straightforward there. Linebackers, ZAVEN, Tavai, Anzalone, Collins, Mabin, Okwara, Pittman, SDH, and Davis. Yeah, okay, the last 3 are, you just pick one. So if I can bring back Jared Davis, that'd be my first choice. If I can't, though, you can either go with Sean Dan Hamilton, who's on a futures contract, or keep Anthony Pittman, who's also on a futures contract, who chose the Detroit Lions over the Raiders. So pick whichever one you want there. But if we can bring back Davis, I think he'd be their first option. Plus, I think he gives you more as an inside backer, potentially, in a 4-3 for sure. Out in a 3-4, we'll see what he is. Probably more of a pass rusher, more just of a role player. Now, ZAVEN Collins, you know, he's a rookie. He's going to take time to develop. Jelani's an inside linebacker, so he obviously needs some work, probably to get quicker. Anzalone's been just a coverage guy, but we need that. However, you know, he's going to want to try to develop into a 3-down guy, and to keep him with Aaron Glenn. Now, Aaron Glenn can work with him and, you know, keep him in a comfortable position here. Jamie Collins can do it all. No worries about him. Reese Maben, he's still on the roster. Give him one more shot. Let's see what we can do, especially if we go to a 4-3. It'd be beautiful for him. Julian Okwara, then a pass rusher, needs to work on his run defense, but you could list him as an edge as well. I went a little bit heavier on linebacker, I think, this time. Special teams, we have Matt Prater, Jack Fox, Mulebox, straightforward there. And then finally, safety. Tracy Walker, Will Harris, Trey Boston, CJ Moore, and Reed Blankenship. I forgot the whole ship part. I guess it sailed away. I'm sorry, that was on the spot though. I deserve an A. Y'all need to like the video because I said that. That was the cleanest thing. If you're still watching, comment a bagel or something. Last time I kept Price. This time I went with Blankenship because I think he could play in the box as well. So there you go, man. That's the roster. It's late, so I'm gonna end it here. What do you guys think? We had some fun with it again. If you guys want me to do some other challenges, let me know what challenge I should do next. This was the No Romeo Kenny Golladay challenge, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for watching. Hold up. I backed out though. And I'm out.